These are the realities of owning a Pokemon business that I wish I knew when I started in selling Pokemon cards in November 2024. So this is my third full month really, and we've got up to last month's were 30k. This month is sort of similar to that, sort of up to this point I think it's around 21, 22k in sales. And these things I've learned through it that would have made my life easier if I'd known them from the start, and also realities to take into account if you are considering starting a Pokemon card business. It is great fun. It is obviously, there's a draw to it through nostalgia to wanting to be more and a bigger part of the Pokemon hobby, but it is not all sunshine and rainbows. There are difficulties, there are problems to overcome, and hopefully if you're considering it, if you're in the early stages, this will be useful to you. Problems change the further you go, so when you've been building for a year, when you're a 6-7 figure business, although I'm sort of predicting 6 figures this year, already halfway there. But when you're a 7-figure business, when you're bigger, when you're potentially looking to starting a warehouse, hiring employees, there are different challenges that will come from this. So this is for that early stage. If you're just starting out, these will hopefully be helpful to you. And the first thing I want to talk about is maintaining stock. And for me, this is the biggest challenge. Unless you have serious capital when you're going into it, or if you have a good steady flow that you can maintain while you are building the business, but it is hard to juggle that, then your biggest challenge will be having enough stock to meet customer demand, provided you're making enough content and doing the marketing correctly, because there are a lot of people out there who just want to buy Pokemon. Pokemon is doing the marketing for you. You are just competing with other sellers, and you're competing with customer service, on price, on attention. So that is what you're competing against, but there will be demand. There will be demand on eBay, if you want to sell that way, on any of the other independents and trading card marketplaces, and obviously through your own website. You will find direct traffic just from having a website. Will it be enough to make a consistent living? No, but maintaining stock is the hardest thing to do. It will sell out. You then have to wait for that money to come in. Minimum, well, if it's PayPal, it comes in instantly. If it is Shopify, then you're waiting 3 days. Other platforms, it's longer. You're waiting for that money to come in. Then you've got to place an international order, because let's face it, at this stage, you're not going to be selling English, or you're not going to be having enough supply to sell English. So if you want to have enough supply, you have to be buying Japanese, you have to be buying Korean. You're going to go to them, you're going to place your order, and then you're going to wait 3 days for it to come to you. So you've got a week turnaround between you make the sale and when that stock will actually be in your pocket again. So you need to plan for that in terms of making your orders, in terms of managing your stock, and in terms of what you are selling. So obviously if you're selling packs, it will last you a lot longer. You can service a lot more customers than if you're just selling boxes. But be prepared for this. Be ready to have income that you can then replenish your stock, particularly replenishing the stock that sells well. And then when you're in a stable place, when you focus on certain stock items, then you can start branching out. I would suggest picking one language to start off with, getting a good supply of that. Once you've got steady stock, then branching out into another language. And even smaller than that, picking a few sets, building up people who want to buy that set, churning through it, and then bringing in another set, then bringing in more, and starting to build up your orders. And as you build up, if you're just focusing on one supplier, one language, then you can get better discounts. And when you're at that, a good discount, so maybe you're buying 10 cases at a time for Korean sets, then you can start to look at other languages, because you're getting the best deal, or you're getting a very good deal going through that way. So that's something to really keep in mind. The other aspect of stock are all of the consumables that you will use. Making sure that you have enough boxes, making sure you've got enough tape, any good of your freebies that you're throwing in, making sure that you have them, making sure you've got enough labels or paper, depending on which route you're going in terms of putting the labels on, whether you're printing and sellotaping on, or whether you have a dedicated label printer. Making sure that all of these things are there are vitally important, particularly the boxes, because if you get an order, you don't want to be repurposing packaging, building your own cardboard boxes. One, it doesn't look professional. Two, it's a waste of time. Better to have dedicated boxes. If you're in the UK, then Kite Packaging, I'd recommend, a very good supplier. They're cheap, but the packaging gets the job done, and they have good sizes for Pokemon cards. Specifically for Korean, they're 4x4x6 inch box, and I think they've also got a 6x6x6, which is good for Japanese boxes and Korean as well, in terms of dimension. So having those will make your life a lot easier. The next place is, where are you going to put this stock? You can't just pile up boxes and call it a day. You're not putting these away for come back in a year or 2 years time. you need to be able to easily access all of the stock that you have, so that they're out there readily available when you're going and compiling orders. Because people won't just order all of the same thing. They're going to be ordering one of these, one of these, one of these, one of these, especially if it's packs. You might be selling every single pack and you're going to pick out one from everything. So having a way where it's clearly laid out, you can easily see everything and you can pack from it is vital as well. That you have all the boxes laid out as well. So, if I'm doing just a single box, I take this box, double this, 3 to 4 this, 5+, then I'm taking this box. So that's in terms of my layout. Then that makes your life a lot easier when it comes to packing. Obviously, if it's just small orders, you can use a bit of time there. It's not so much of a problem. But if it builds up and you're doing 20, 30 orders a day, then you want to have that readily available to you. So you can do that, pack quickly, drop them off, have them collected, whatever it is, and move on with your day. These are something that you want to get logistically worked out before you start to get it and have to just learn on the job and have to react quickly. Really, the packaging. Don't overlook packaging. Boxes take up a lot of space, even when they're flat. Dealing with the cardboard boxes that arrive and then getting rid of them takes up a lot of space as well. You've either got to recycle them, in which case you're building up boxes for a whole week, or you've got to be making trips to the dump and getting rid of them that way. So, at least consider these sort of things before you get into it, or ramp up slowly so you can deal with these changes as well. Another thing is with shipping. You will pay a lot in shipping. So for January, where I sold 30k, I spent about 10% of that in shipping. Bear in mind, I'm also shipping internationally, and customers are paying for most, if not all, of the shipping. So that is something to keep in mind, as well as, on that note, adding however much it is for your shipping costs. So for me, it costs about 50 pence for all the materials, including bubble wrap. So take that into account when you are shipping something, and when you are selling your pricing, there is going to be that 50 pence increase on your thing, and something to take into account in your profits as well as your shipping. So either you tag that onto your shipping costs instead of a handling fee, or you're going to tag that onto your profit margin for your products. Either way, somewhere you need to have this. Your shipping costs will go down as you can buy in bulk. So when you are buying only 50 boxes, you're not going to get as good a rate as if you're buying 2,000 boxes. But obviously, don't buy 2,000. Where are you going to put them? Start with 50, start with what you need, and just know that it will get cheaper as you go forward, and your profit will get better as you can buy more and more bulk in terms of packaging, in terms of shipping, and also as in when you get business rates, and also when you are buying stock. But expect to pay a lot for shipping, probably one of your biggest expenses, but that's fine. It's part and parcel of that. Make sure that before you go into it, you set your shipping rates accordingly for international as well. Sometimes you have to adapt. You get a surprise order from Belgium, and you realise, I set my shipping at £10, but this actually costs £12. So part of that will just be, whether you change it or not, it's up to you. I think that's an okay hit, but just something to consider, that there will be different pricing bands depending on the country that you're shipping to. Have a look into that, or just react when you get those shipping orders coming in. A couple of pounds here and there, it's not the end of the world. Unless all the Belgians come to take advantage of you, there's £2 opportunity in terms of shipping. Either way, just something to keep in mind. Other aspect of shipping is shipping that is coming into you. When you're ordering, you will have to pay VAT or import duty. If your order is above £135, which it will be, if you are, and this is for the UK, if you are ordering something internationally, or if you're ordering a case of Pokemon product. It's charged at VAT, so the VAT is £20, but there is also an admin fee from the shipping company, so DHL, FedEx, whoever it is, and there is also an import duty flat rate. So I would suggest you take into account about 25% that you'll have to be paying on top of what you are buying the product for. So that's something that I would keep in mind. You might see, this is a great price. It's only $600 for this case. But then you're going to add 25% on that, and then you've got your profit margin. So really be aware that the price that you see on these listings, for Korean, it usually includes shipping. For Japanese, it doesn't. There's a shipping cost added onto that. Also, Japanese don't usually have they don't usually give you a price list, unlike Koreans do. So just caveat there, or some sort of niche differences between them. Bear in mind, you're going to be paying 25% extra. When it comes to you have to pay that bill directly to FedEx or to DHL before you accept the product. So make sure that you have those finances available. It's just another thing which slows down the process of building up capital. I would suggest in terms of this, if you're willing to accept the risk, to go on credit. But I would not start putting a lot of money on credit before you actually get some sales. So once you have a decent customer base, when you know that you can make a certain amount of sales, you can have an amount of cash coming in, then I would start to look for things on credit. And the things that you want to be putting on credit are either all of your regular spending, your groceries, your rent, etc., your groceries, any sort of other activities that you partake in, so that all of your money can then be just funneled back into the business, back into more stock. All your profit goes back into that. That's one way of doing it. The reason why you have to look at these other ways of doing it is there is about 3% fee if you are going through Wise, which is how you've got to pay money to Japan or Korea, and it is considered as a cash-like transaction, which a lot of credit companies don't really favour. However, you can have it. There's just an extra fee, but sometimes that 3% is worth it in terms of if you can make 10% profit on it within the month, or if you can get a longer interest-free period, then I'd really look into that before you're going to do that. But it's quite difficult to get a business card which you get cash back on, which also allows cash-like transactions. Very difficult to find something like that. But the other use for the credit card is on these import duties, because you can pay them domestically and they are a purchase, and also when you are buying shipping and when you are buying packaging. So for those, I would recommend just putting them on credit so that you have capital free, but only when you know that you can churn through stock. And otherwise, if you can get a 6-month, 15-month deal for that, or if you're using PayPal credit, I believe they give you four months. If it's, I think it's over £90, it's around £100 plus, you can get credit that, or you can use PayPal Pay in 3. Something like that is really useful when you're trying to keep capital available for building up your stock. So that's just something to keep in mind. Another thing for the international arena is international holidays. So bearing in mind that the Lunar New Year, which affects Korea, was taking place in, I think it was the end of January, and there's going to be no shipping at that point. So if you are going to be dealing on the international market, you need to take into account international holidays so that you have your stock built up before that holiday. Otherwise, you're going to be seriously depleted. If, as it was for me, I was sort of quiet at the start, so I just didn't have any stock for that period, out of stock a lot, and it was only afterwards that I built it up. What is the problem with being out of stock a lot? Well, part of the reason is that you aren't making money at that time. The other reason is any marketing that you're doing is ineffective, because people just come to your store, there's nothing here. What is this? Is this just a dead store? And maybe they're not going to come back in the future. If you see it again, they just think, oh, the Chase Club's just a dead store. And so that's the main issue really with this. You're not making money, customers see that, they're not into it, and you're just sitting around wondering what you're doing with all of these cardboard boxes that you can't put anything in. So something to keep in mind, be aware of international holidays, work around them, build up stock beforehand, and make sure that you are ready for them. Another thing with dealing with the international market and really Pokemon at the moment is prices are constantly changing as demand is so high, even in Korea, which was probably the last place that obviously Japan's high. There's big demand for Japan, well, a bigger demand domestically, but also internationally as well. But with Korea, the issue at the moment really is that they are not able to keep up with printing. So they're printing Terrestrial, they're printing Battle Partners. That is about it. They're trying to restock other things, Pokemon Korea, but they are not really doing that successfully, and so the price is just going to creep up. Expect to pay over MSRP. If you go on Pokemon Korea and you see, oh, it's 30,000 won, that's like, I don't know, 16, 18 pounds, you're not going to get it for that. You're going to have to pay above market price, because that's just the way it goes. And that's the same for Japan. You are going to be paying above market price because that's how international customers are treated. But that's fine. It's just part and parcel of it, especially at the moment when there's so much hype. But the good news is everyone has to deal with that. No one's getting bargains. No one's avoiding import duty, that 25% import duty. Everyone's got to pay shipping fees. Everyone's got to buy packaging. So we're all in the same boat for this. So it's not something, why do I have to pay this? Why do I have to add on this 25%? Everyone's doing it. So in that regard, I wouldn't worry too much about getting it. The final point that I would say is all of your money has to go back into the business. Don't buy cases, especially at the start, and think, I'm going to be able to sit on this and I'm going to sell it when it goes up. You can't afford to do this. It's to do with the opportunity cost. If you want to make a living and this to be your sole income, you just have to keep churning through it. Churn and burn is the name of the game. Small profit margins, high volume. That is what you want to be doing. So don't buy sets because you think you're going to hold on to them. Don't buy cases because you think you're going to hold on to them. A booster box, sure. Maybe you hold one. But the best thing to do is just put it back in so you can reinvest, buy more product, sell more product, and just keep doing that. Keep going through the product, keep building up your stock, having more money so you can get better deals, better rates, and then your profit margin is increasing. That's something to keep in mind. Your profit margin will increase as you can unlock more bulk discounts from your suppliers. The other aspect is put aside your collecting. Your sole purpose is to grow this business. You're not skimming off some of the product, opening packs, trying to complete your own collections, trying to master set things because you're getting these bulk business rates. That is not the thing to do. If you're going to open packs, create a video, stream, whatever it is, but do not buy things, think I'm getting this business rate, now I'm going to rip it and I'm going to master set. I'm going to chase some cards. Forget about it. Forget about your own collection. Forget about building anything up until you have a very stable income, you have good stock levels, and you don't need to keep growing. But you always need to keep growing, because once you maxed out Korean, then you're on Japanese, then hopefully the English market has died, you're going back into English, you're buying Yu-Gi-Oh, you're buying Magic, you're buying One Piece, whatever it is. There are more things that you're going to be looking into. So just pause, put aside collecting, put aside investing. Your sole purpose when running a Pokemon card business, you buy product, you list product, you sell product. You buy more, you list, you sell. That is it. And everything else to do with the hobby, as fun as it is, do you think I'm getting into the hobby because I love the cards? Unfortunately, don't love them too much. Have that dissonance, that disconnect, where you can put aside those cards, realize they're just for sale, and not hurt when you're selling them. And that's the best way to go about it. And if you can't do that, if you just want to open packs, then maybe just leave it. Just buy and open packs and have another job that can fuel that hobby. You don't want it to get messy where you just keep opening your own packs. Stock sitting there, it's not selling, like, maybe I'll just open some. You know, it's sitting there, it's not selling anywhere, I've bought it already. Maybe I'll just open some. Don't do that. Don't eat into your profit. Enough things are eating into it already. Words of advice. We've all opened packs, and that's fine. But open a few, leave it there, call it a day. So that's been my advice. If you're interested in checking out my website, it is www.thechase.club. You can buy Korean, also starting to sell more Japanese. Interested, link down in the description. Thank you for watching. See you next one.